All right, let's get into two pretty good tips that I just came across recently. So, your renown farming. This is gonna annoy you. The altars, running the dungeons, the side quests. You have to do all of it. Explorings a little bit, all that. But at the end, you're gonna have to go back and do side quests or the dungeons if you're not grinding them throughout the game. Which that's gonna take a lot of time because once you run through the game and you go back to tier 1, you can just run through and grab the objective. So it's much quicker. Plus you'll have the mount. So I recommend waiting till later in the game to go back and renown farm. You can do as you wish. I know some people completed these act by act early on. It's a lot more time spent. I recommend getting the mount and then going back in tier 1 and just speed running the objectives in each dungeon. It's much quicker. I ran some of them as I was grinding up because I didn't know any better, but that seems much more efficient, just going back when you're beefy. But all of these are account wide and they're very important. Okay, they go to all your alts, and the last tier is 20 paragon points. All right, when you tier out all of your acts, it's 20 paragon points. It's for 4 per act, which is a big deal. When you look at your tree, it's almost a whole board skip, or a lot of more specking in one board. It's a must, right? But I'll be honest, if you do this solo, it's going to take a lot of time. I did a good majority of it solo, but I found out that you can share the dungeons. So if you invite 4 people to your group, or 3 people, and you have a 4 group max, and you split up on the map. Now, everyone's at different progressions. Say you have 50% of Fracture Peaks done dungeon-wise, and they're up here running dungeons. You're only going to get EXP for the ones that you haven't done when they get to them. So keep that in mind. Or if you're 100% on one act and someone's just running through that the whole time, you're not going to get the shared EXP. You need people that haven't really done much. Invite them to your group, split up, and just run the aspect dungeons. And you'll know because you'll have a little gold symbol or a chest symbol at the bottom right, and it'll show that there's an aspect to unlock it from your codex. That's how you know it'll give you the 30 renown, and you'll get the aspect if you want it for your codex. I mean, they're sort of useful for the alts and stuff. You get higher rolls off of items, but there's still a few I have to unlock, but it's not really that big of a deal. So you'll unlock these, you'll get your renown, but it shares. So you don't have to be running the same dungeon. You can split up and it'll proc off. Every time someone finishes a dungeon, it'll progress you. It's the fastest way to do the renown grind. If you solo all this, it's going to take 4x the amount of time, right? Especially if you're doing it act by act earlier on with no team sharing. Like, I didn't know about this till I was doing it on my stream and someone told me. And I started utilizing it a bit. Some people were running the dungeons I already had, or, some people just weren't renown farming at the time in the Discord, so I was alone. It is what it's hard to find someone on the exact progression as you. It would have been nice to have some people freshly go into it and just share, but some people don't even know you can share these. So they're inefficiently grinding. They're spending a lot of extra time not knowing these things. So yeah, that's tip number 1 for renown farming, which you're going to have to do for the paragon points at this state in the game. Now, could they nerf this and switch it so you have to be in the same dungeon? Of course they could. You don't know with Blizzard. They're already hammering out the EXP dungeons, which needed to be done. And it sort of sucks for like the newer players. And even me, I could have gotten to 100 probably if I would have just no-lifed it, but I didn't. I work. Gym and work comes first. But Ruins of Iridan, it was nuts down here, and it is obliterated now. Blind Burrows is pretty good still. It's just not, it's nothing like Iridan, not Iridan. Jeez, I feel like I'm playing EverQuest. But this dungeon was insane. But anyways, tip number 2, when you do sigil runs, nightmare tier runs, whatever you want to call them, it's when you pop these sigils, it marks the dungeon, you get afflictions and you get a bonus and you run it, and at the end you'll get 2 item drops. Not a big deal, but primarily you're going to do them to level your glyphs. You get glyph experience. Okay, so if you're following me so far, glyphs are the bonus socket here. You unlock it, you throw the glyph in, and once you tier up the size of whatever stat, you get the bonuses. But when you run these tier dungeons, there's it's like a little statue thing that comes up I don't know exactly what it is. I just click them and go. But you can allocate experience to your glyphs. As you can see, this one's level 13. This one's level 3. I haven't really spent a lot of time doing the tiered dungeons yet. I know people have. They've maxed their glyphs out, which is smart. It's very powerful to do. But the trick is, say you're running one of these tiered dungeons and you get to the boss. You can invite a friend in, kill the boss, and he can allocate the XP too. It's like you can just share your glyph experience with a friend. So if they're running it, they can invite you in. You can click beat the boss. I'm pretty sure you have to be there when the boss dies or before the boss fight. When you kill the boss, you'll get the glyph experience statue, whatever it is. And you can click it and allocate EXP. I've tried it and I was like, wow. So if you know people running it, you can share that with people and it'll make it quicker for you. So you don't have to run so many dungeons. Just a good tip. They could nerf any of this stuff at any time. Who knows what they're going to do. But as of right now, you can share the Renown dungeons. I don't think side quests work. The Renown dungeons you can share in a group, which is a big help. It's 4x the speed. If you solo it all, it's going to take you 4 times the amount of time. And I'm telling you, it was a bit grueling for me. I wasn't 100% effective doing it. I could have done it better, but it was still time consuming. I'm glad it's over with. But see, there's still a bunch of Renown you can farm, but there's no bonuses besides your basic EXP and everything. But yeah, the glyph sharing, utilize it for now. This stuff could get nerfed at any time. But yeah, it's just good to know. So when you get there and you see when you kill the boss that little statue you click in your experience, you can share that pre-boss fight. So just think about those 2 good tips I wanted to share. Have a great weekend. It's Friday. Much love.